Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Why Me, Why Not Me? A space where we celebrate real stories of women choosing themselves in big, small, loud, and sometimes really quiet ways. This episode is special because I met today's guest at a running club meet. And in that first conversation, there was something about her calm, grounded energy that made me want to know more. She did not have to say much. I just knew there was a story under the surface. And trust me, I wasn't wrong. So today, I'm joined by Vanessa, a finance lawyer, a runner, a woman in her pivot chapter, and someone I think we'll all quietly learn a lot from. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this because I remember meeting you at, I think first time I met you was at the Nike run.
Yes.
And then we ran into each other deciding to do the
ultra marathon.
Yes. Yep. And we just ended up talking and I learned so much about it. And I'm like, I have to have you on this show and just talk because I feel like there's so many women who need to hear your story. And I myself, you're the first guest actually that I met just shortly, like a month, 2 months back.
Wow.
And connected immediately. And I will actually be learning a lot about you at the same time as the listeners would. So thank you so much for trusting me with this.
Worries. No, I was like, so excited as well. I think we literally had like an instant like spark when we met.
Yeah.
We're like talking about things that we agree with and like women and challenges. And so I'm excited. Yeah.
I know. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. You know, the moment let's talk about right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, so the moment I met you, the one word that came to my mind was like, she's solid. She's so grounded. She's so calm. Is that how you actually feel inside, or is it that situation where you have the calm on the outside and chaos on the inside? Most of the time that's me. But is that your situation as well?
Absolutely. It's definitely calm on the outside, chaos on the inside. I think the time that we met, so kind of 2 months ago, and in the context that we met, so we've met in the context of, as you say, Run Club, and then the introduction to ultra marathon, and running, sports, movement, fitness is like my thing. It's my passion. So it's probably the time when I am the calmest. I don't think many people would say they feel calm in a briefing for a 50 or 100 kilometer run, but it says a lot. It says a lot.
It's like panic on my face.
Exactly.
And so calm.
Exactly. But I think taking a step back generally, it's kind of how I've always defined myself. Like I've always been a person that, despite whatever's going on, whether internally, externally, life, family, work, or health, whatever it is, that I've always been able to kind of maintain that calm and composure.
Okay.
It's not easy. I think I've been thinking about this a lot recently, that I think a lot of what we portray and how people perceive us can be very different actually to how you feel internally. And it doesn't necessarily reflect the work that you're doing internally. To give out that portrayal, right?
Exactly.
But I think, for me, it's the calm is in the movement. It's in the looking after myself, my body. Actually, the calm is in a challenge. Like I like the idea of having something that I'm working towards, particularly in the context that we met. So, an ultra marathon, knowing that, okay, over the next few months, I've got something I need to focus on and be super disciplined. And it gives me structure, it gives me focus, it gives me purpose. So there's a lot of chaos going on, despite the external. But I think what I've found with time is that I know how to balance the two, and the things that I can kind of surround myself in life to be able to bring the calm to kind of settle the chaos, really. But there's a lot of chaos, I promise.
Like definitely I cannot say, like even right now, you look so calm, but I get exactly what you mean. I mean, challenge is something that I thrive on as well. So I completely get it. So when we met, you spoke about something that you called your pivot chapter.
Yes.
I love that word. and ever since then, I'm like, I'm going to use that more often, like your pivot chapter. It's not a breakdown of things. It's not a breakthrough. It's a pivot.
Yeah.
What triggered that for you?
Yeah. So 8 months ago, so November of 2024, I had a uterine fibroid surgery. And this is effectively, so uterine fibroids are non-cancerous growths that grow in and around your uterus. And it's a condition that impacts so many people kind of between their 20s and 40s, particularly women of color as well. It's hereditary. And a lot of the time women don't even know that they're going through this because society, we're told that, it's normal to have difficult periods or to have discomfort or to face bloating and all of these things. We're just told that women have body issues.
Yes.
And actually, the way that I kind of found out was by chance. So my company sent an email and said, look, your medical insurance lets you have this annual health check.
Okay.
Go to the hospital, you can get this annual health check, the blood test, this, right. And the irony is, and I find this so funny now in reflection, is that I signed up because it was at a time when I was like really getting into my fitness.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to go to that health check and they're going to tell me I'm so fit, I'm so healthy. Like, it's going to give me like the pat on the back that I need.
Okay.
And like, it was going really well. It was going really well until I got to like the female doctor and the gynecologist. And whenever somebody says the words, I'm going to get a second opinion, you're like, oh my goodness.
Oh no. And the first thing that comes in your mind is the word cancer.
Exactly. Well, that's it. And like naturally with doctors, they give you all the health warnings. They say this, and people using big words like, hysterectomy, infertility. And I'm like, whoa, I'm 29 years old. Like, can we slow down? Like, what does this mean? So I kind of had that diagnosis in about February of 2024. And honestly, Anu, I just sat on it. I just sat and buried my head in the sand. I was effectively told that my options pretty much were a few different surgeries that I could have. And I'm somebody who I've never been hospitalized, never had to think of any major surgeries, anesthesia. There were just so many things. I'm from the UK, from London. Do I want to have a surgery at home? Do I want to have it? It was just the chaos. The chaos was there, and it was just spinning in my head. And I didn't at that time have the capacity to be able to think, what do I want to do? So I didn't do anything for 6 months. I just sat and I put it in the back of my head. I was like, I'm just not going to do anything about it. And then I kind of had a realization kind of in September of like, you can't avoid things in life. It's still there. All of these symptoms that I'm facing, someone has kind of empowered me and told me that they're not normal, these are not things that you should be going through. And there is a solution. With everything you do in life, there's a risk, but explore the options. So anyway, in September of 2024, went back to my doctor, did a series of MRIs, and they identified that I had 3 fibroids. They were quite big, actually. I think one was the size of like a golf ball. One was the size of like a water. Like they were big. They were really big. Like,
oh my God.
In the end, so post surgery, they said they took out about 5 to 6 kilos of mass, which is just crazy. I just had things like I didn't know.
And you didn't even know.
Didn't know. So anyway, we had my surgery. We booked it in for November. And as I said, when I got the diagnosis, I was a really good place in terms of my fitness. I had, completed Burj to Burj. I was, getting into the running communities in Dubai. Had a really nice routine. So the recovery that I was projected and told was that it'd be between 6 to 12 weeks. And if anything, I'm a very stubborn person. I was like, no, I'll be fine. After 4 weeks, I'll be able.
So,
I'm fit. Like, they give that a wide range. But it was bad. It was bad. And I think I hadn't prepared myself mentally from going from somebody who's 100 miles an hour to just being still. And I think especially if you use fitness and movement as your vessel for that calm, for that peace, when that's taken away from you, I think I actually probably felt it more mentally than I did physically. And physically it was difficult, Yes. It was, if you wake up, if I cough, I'm in pain. If I stand, I'm in pain. I couldn't actually walk a length of my apartment for at least 2 weeks, like literally from one end of my apartment to the other. Yeah. But I think it really made me question and think, okay, so with everything stripped away, like, who am I? Because, I wasn't working for like a month. I couldn't do the things that I normally do. I couldn't hang out with my friends. I was literally sat doing nothing. So who are you really without all of these things, without these titles, these dressings, these things that we busy ourselves with? And it kind of like kickstarted a whole new, as I say, my pivot chapter of actually trying to answer that question. And I was so determined that I'd never want to take my body and physicality and health for granted ever again. You know, I'm so blessed that I was able to have this really difficult surgery and to recover and to be at a point where I've rebuilt my strength, and I'm not going to take that for granted. So it kind of like just put a battery in my back, and I was like, I'm going to go. And I decided actually while I was still recovering, and I think I came across it on like an Instagram page. I saw like something on the page. Someone was like, oh, a triathlon. I was like, yeah, that looks fun.
Yeah.
Not knowing what that was, not even really understanding what that meant. But I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I was then looking, and like the good thing about the UAE is there are so many sports and activities.
Yes.
So I signed up for a triathlon. And then I was like, actually, why don't we go further with this? So I set myself a challenge. So I signed up for a triathlon for the 3rd week of February. And then I was like, yeah, you know, why don't I do more? So I was like, well, I did Burj to Burj this year. Why don't I do it again? Yeah. Burj to Burj was the 2nd week of February. So I was like, okay, so 21K half marathon.
Yes.
And then a triathlon the next week. Okay.
Like a full triathlon?
So I did a sprint triathlon. So it was 750-meter swim, 30 or 40 kilometer on the bike, and then a 5K run.
Wow. That's still
Yeah.
a lot. Okay.
And I was like, actually, why don't I just make February a crazy month and book a race every weekend of February? So that's the challenge that I set for myself while I was still in bed, barely able to move.
Okay.
In November, I was like, once I've got the all clear in December, I'll give myself 2 solid months of training. So I booked, for the 1st week of February, I booked a aquathon, which is a swim and a run. 2nd week of February, as I said, was Burj to Burj. 3rd week of February was the triathlon. And then the 4th week of February, I said I want to get a 10K PB. So I'm going to do the Dubai Canal Run. That all sounded great in November. The process to train for all of that, mentally and physically, was crazy. Like, crazy. The level of discipline that's required, it's everything. It's your sleep, it's your eating, it's, you know, I still work full-time. You know, I work full-time as a lawyer. So, you know, you've got days, especially with the triathlon, I'd have mornings where I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and swim on Kite Beach. Would then have to afterwards maybe do like a running session after. And then I'm in the office, I'm in DIFC at 9:45 a.m., you know. It was just that. And then maybe in the evening I'd do, you know, I have to do some yoga and stretching. And it was very intense. It was, as I say, defined it as the pivot because it was, I think, the first time I've had to throw my full weight behind something where actually I had to be really focused and tunnel visioned, and I couldn't, there wasn't really room for other things. You know, naturally my social life declined. But then it was, because, you know, I was waking up at 4 to go and swim. I can't be out late at night. But what I will say is that, and kind of going back to the question of, you know, what does this chapter mean and where did it all start? It's led me to exactly where I am today, because I think the first point is I had to think of, you know, who am I without all of these things? And whilst I went into overdrive, actually it's the personality traits and the skills that I've taken from that rather than the accolades. You know, I would say I care more for my discipline and, you know, my self-belief and my ability to start again over the fact that I've completed a triathlon or over the fact that I've done a half marathon. And it's what led me to actually create the Comeback Collective, which is a wellness community that I've built. And it's around the idea that everybody at some point in their life has had a setback, has had something that they need to come back from. And currently we do a lot of fitness events and just create an accessible and open environment for people to be able to explore that. Absolutely. You know, even if it's that, you know, you're somebody who was like me, who was super fit and really active and thought I was at a really good place, to actually having something that was a complete change in life, which meant that I had to rethink, okay, what does this mean? You know, what does it mean? You know, my body is completely different. It's even something small. I couldn't do any ab or crunch related exercise for like 2 months.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exercises we do that
requires that.
Right.
Yes.
I couldn't do any of that. So it's the whole point behind the community is being able to bridge that gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Yeah. And that's the whole idea. And I very much believe that who you are today doesn't necessarily have to who you have to be tomorrow. You know, if you want to wake up and do something else, you know, a different job, move to a different country, leave a bad relationship, whatever it is, you can do that. You can pivot. You don't have to be tied down to any one identity. And so long as you've got like the community and the support to facilitate that change and that pivot, and you believe in yourself, I really actually think the possibilities are kind of endless. So yeah.
That's amazing. That is so inspiring. I mean, I knew a little bit about your story, about and how you started the Comeback Collective. I still need to attend one of those events.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, I mean, but that's such an amazing initiative to have. I think it's not just from some setback from like injuries. It could be even moms who actually just recently gave birth and they're trying to get back into fitness, and they feel so unsure if they can again, even if they were fit before. Even for them, something like this is a huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
And a community to like encourage them to start all over again, which is such an amazing thing. Yeah.
And I think what I've loved the most about building this community is that it's also encouraged me to speak to people. It's how we met, you know. I love finding out people's stories. Whenever I see people doing things, either one or the two, if I see people doing things, I'm like, whoa, this is so extraordinary. I always want to know somebody's story. Or on the other side, when people kind of reach out to me or they say, you know, I wish I could do this, or I always want to know their story as well, and kind of understand why is it that you think you're not able to do it. And one person in particular who I'm kind of really close in my fitness community now, I met her and I love her story. So she has been a housewife for 17 years. And she said she's always dedicated her life to her family and her husband and her kids, and she loves that. She's always loved that. But her kids are grown up now, and she kind of had a moment where she was like, okay, what does this mean for me? Yeah, exactly. What does this mean? And she is now studying, she's doing a master's in theology. She loves theology, she loves reading, and she just completed her first High Rocks last week. And just speaking to people and hearing that story, it reaffirms that there's never a wrong or right time. It's never too late to just say, I want to choose me, I want to do something different. And I feel so blessed to be around. And I think actually, particularly in the UAE, you meet a lot of people that kind of have that, at least that desire to want to do something. And if I can help, particularly in fitness, because it's what comes naturally to me, and wellness, if I can help facilitate that and build an environment and a community where that is a reality for people, like that's, it's,
of course,
it's such a passion for me.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you are doing that, so that's amazing. So in my previous episodes, I've mentioned this before. It's not about having this big dramatic moment. It's about the in-betweens, right? It's about the middle. You've had your share of that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So obviously we've spoken about kind of, you know, the surgery journey. But I think also as well that I think what I've been in a very reflective mood over the last, because I'm 29, I'm turning 30 in 4 or 6 weeks soon, very soon.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes, end of next month.
Oh, so I'm actually turning 40 in September.
Oh,
we both have really big milestones.
Exactly. And everybody tells me that the 9s are big birthdays, or big years. So I've been very reflective and kind of marking life as these checkpoints almost, as I love my word, the pivot moments. And I think definitely most recently has been my surgery experience. I think taking it back a step, it was me moving to the UAE. So for context, I was born and bred in London, literally schooled in the UK, went to university in London, and I've always, started my first corporate job in London, and I've always had a very cushioned bubble life in that environment. But I've always been somebody who's kind of had a thirst for what's on the other side of that. Things are good now, but, is there anything else that I want to do? Are there any other opportunities I want to explore? So I moved to Dubai kind of by myself at the age of 27. Luckily, I was, still with my company, so that was all fine. Well, as fine as it can be, moving over work-wise. But the challenge of just being a sole young woman in a very fast-paced, busy city, moving away from every comfort you have, not having any family here. I think I knew one or two people here, but I wouldn't say I had any friends at all before I moved here. Wow, humbling.
Yeah, it is. I can imagine.
Humbling experience.
Yeah.
It was that was another rebuild from scratch because there is nothing familiar, I remember there was one day, I think in the first week that I moved, where I just burst into tears, like literally on the road in Business Bay. And you're going to wonder why. It was because I didn't know where the nearest supermarket was.
Oh, bless you.
I was just like, nothing is familiar. I don't know anything. Nothing feels relatable. Like I'm just here, and it's really difficult, I think, in life where you make a decision or you choose to do something difficult and you have to stand by that, when you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Yes.
That's a hard realization.
It is a hard realization.
It's not that, I've been forced here. It's not that I have to do this. It's not that I'm even following. It's a choice. And making hard choices is not easy. And I think that was one of the first times in life that I thought, whoa, Vanessa, you've made a choice. You've got to make something of it.
Yes.
But yeah, completely transformative. I had to figure out, what are my interests? Making new friends, making a life for myself, really believing in myself and actually giving myself grace that this is hard, that what you're doing, a lot of people aren't able to do. You're going to have moments where you do feel lonely, where you do feel confused, where you don't know where the supermarket is, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you just adjust.
Yeah.
And I think this whole experience has pushed my resilience to a level that I didn't even know possible. And now I'm on the other side of it where I'm kind of stable and I have built a life for myself somewhere. And so many of my friends from the UK will be like, oh my gosh, have a great life. I'm like, honestly, I think this is what we're talking about between the calm and the chaos.
Yes.
There was a lot of chaos to get to this point. But there's so much self-discovery and so much gratitude and it took a lot to get here, but I'm here and I'm so proud of myself for getting this far and making it this far.
You should be. Yes. I mean, it's amazing what you've done, especially after moving here on your own, and also building a community. It's amazing. It's not easy to do that. I had last year just for 3 months because I wanted to take a break. I'd moved to Sweden just to study a bit, just get myself out of the routine. As much as I loved the experience, it wasn't easy. Like you said, you cried, you couldn't find supermarket. I actually struggled finding somewhere to do my eyebrows.
That's a big thing. No, that is a big thing.
I know.
Because it's not it's the kind of thing when you're stable somewhere, you don't even think that it's going to be something that's a concern.
Yes.
Until it's a concern, right?
Yes, exactly. Because here I'm like, I can just book it.
On an app, they come to the house.
Yeah. And there I struggled. I had to, from Amazon, buy a thing
Like a little
to do it on my own. So the 3 months I was there, I did my eyebrows. They didn't look equal, but it got
what
the
do they
job
say?
done.
Cousins, not twins, or sisters, not twins.
Yes. So I get it's not easy, especially when you've made that choice. You were not forced to do it. You made that choice. But it grows you. It humbles you. It makes you feel like you've grown up. You figure yourself out a lot more. Coming to that. You and I are very similar in the fact where we go to movement to stay sane. Whether it's running, exercise, training,
High rocks,
signing up for marathons. So, I mean, and how does that help you with? I know you've covered this a bit, but how does that help you with your mental chaos?
Yeah. So, as I said, movement has always been something that's been a big part of my life. I think for me, where the chaos comes is that I think there are so many external things in life that you cannot control.
Yeah.
You cannot control a lot of the time having a bad day at work. You cannot control sometimes, you know, a relationship not going the way that you want it. You cannot control family drama and politics, and there are just such a limitless amount of things that you just cannot
control of.
Exactly. And for me, I mean, again, health issues aside, your body, your time, your movement is the one thing that is yours, and it's yours to have. And I hold that so dearly, and it's just so precious to me. And I think what I've actually found, and how my ethos has changed, is that movement can come in any way. So I've become somebody who now, when the weather is better, I love walking. Like, I love walking. I love putting my headphones in, listening to a podcast, listening to a good playlist. Sometimes not even just listening to anything. Just walking. Just moving, having those moments to yourself where you're not, somebody isn't pulling you, and there isn't a social media notification, and you're not responding to an email, and you're just...
Yes.
So for me, movement, funnily enough, even when I'm doing all of these crazy high rocks things or these runs, I actually find it's one of the few times my brain is completely quiet.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just like, it's weird. I sometimes have to zone back into the fact that I'm like a being. I'm just in my body completely and entirely. And I just love that feeling. And I mean, like, you see all the stuff scientifically, like the release of cortisol levels, and, you know, kind of having that ability and that outlet. I think a lot of the time people don't have that, and you have all of this internalized stress. And there are a few outlets, like healthy outlets with that stress. And I think there's a scale. Some people will say our scale is a bit crazy, or doing high rocks and ultramarathons. But I think what I found is, and why I kind of love movement generally, and you'll see I do so many different activities, is because I just love moving. I now do yoga, you know, twice a week. And I know you do lots of stretching and mobility. It's just, I think actually very personally that having the experience, as I said, where I had a period of time where I couldn't move, where I couldn't do the things that I love and enjoy, I felt it. Like, I felt it mentally. I felt caged. I felt... You kind of wake up and you're angry, and why are you angry? It's because you've not moved. You've not burnt anything. You've not, because the body is a series of, like, you've got lots of energy, and you're eating, and you need to release that energy in some way. It's like children, you know, that's why children run around all the time.
Yeah, because they have all this energy. When they wake up, they want to do something.
Exactly. It's not our normal human state. And I know it's part of life and, you know, work and whatever, especially if you work like myself, a corporate office job, to sit and be still for X number of hours. But for me, I will always, before work, you know, make sure I carve out that 1 hour to myself. I will do whatever it is. I've got to do something that requires me moving. And I think it makes me 100% a better person, like a nicer person, a more calm person. Maybe this is the calm that you see, a more calm person. Because it gives me that balance that I think otherwise. Oh, another thing, I love swimming as well. Swimming is great because I just like, it just feels very rhythmic. And I always say to people that if you are depressed, if you're sad, you don't need to go for a 10K run. You don't need to go for 5. Walk. Just walk. Yeah. Just go for a walk. Do something. Move your body. Do a very easy like yoga class or a Pilates. Just do something to move your body, to feel in tune with your body. And honestly, for me, I think it's just kind of the best way to have that balance.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, that brings me to the fact of stillness, right? For me personally, I'm still learning to be still because honestly, I think it's also a lot to do with where we live. Everything is back to back. You have to be doing something all the time. Whether it's waking up in the morning. For me, my schedule is literally waking up in the morning. I have my run, I have my workout, come back, go to work, come back. I have this, I have that. Like, I have to be doing something. And I struggle to like not do anything just for an hour to be still. But I've also learned that it's so important to be still. It's crazy that we struggle to be still, which is something that we need to, I mean, but honestly, it is so important. Do you struggle with that as well, or are you, have you already found the hack to that?
I struggle. I'm always doing something. I'm always in, my friends laugh and they say, Vanessa's always in a perpetual state of movement. I'm always
like
doing,
that.
I'm always doing something. Because I feel like there's always something to do, or it feels like something is always demanding my time. You know, if I'm not exercising, I'm working. If I'm not working now, I'm doing things for the Comeback Collective. If I'm not doing things for the Comeback Collective, I'm very close with my friends and family. So I'm either hanging out with them or speaking with them. If it's not that, it's maintenance, doing your eyebrow. You know what I mean? It's just there's always something. But I am learning, because I actually think that's one thing that I struggled with at the beginning of this year, kind of post the triathlon. I had a huge, so post my crazy month in February, I had a huge dip because I had been operating at a crazy level of, I was very efficient, you know, I was doing everything, I was balancing all the plates, but then I did have a moment where I was still for like a week or so. And I would say I crumbled. Like, I mean, I know they say you have, when you do a race or an event, you have post-race blues. But I would say I went into like, you know, like a level of almost depression because I felt
like, oh, what
purposeless.
do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'd been so tunnel visioned and focused on a series of things for a period of time that I was like, well,
now what?
Yeah, now what? You know, I guess I go back to work, and I was like, whoa, this is a bit of a dangerous place to be in, you know, because if you're saying that you're doing all of these things because it's the internal, it's the challenge and the journey to get there, and then it happens and then you have this dip, you're always going to be chasing a high. So I'll be really honest, I'm still very much trying to balance in life and find that midpoint between being an ambitious person and always seeking challenges, but not relying on those challenges to kind of keep me going.
To prove that, you know, you don't have to win all the time.
And to be very honest, I'm somebody who's always struggled with perception, both internal and external perception. I think because on the surface, I always appear to have it together. I'm like, well, you've got to have it together. So you need to keep on the same level. So if you're operating at 100, you can't even slip to 90% because people are used to seeing you at 100%. And it's like, no. It's okay. You know, like, what, I think I've been thinking a lot about what even is this idea of perception? Who people, what does this even mean? You know, what is this thing we're creating, this mystique that we think that we have to be or who we have to be? And honestly now how I'm trying to seek that balance and that stillness and that calm is, if it doesn't bring me peace internally, and even my peace may look like chaos, my peace may look like an ultra marathon, but let's put that aside. If it doesn't bring me peace internally, and I feel that I'm doing something because I have to and not because I want to, no.
Okay.
No. And I think I've spent so many of years, if I even just think of in terms of like relationships, if I think in terms of job choices, I have just spent years, I think, doing things because I think it's how life is supposed to look.
Look like, yes. Perception,
exactly. Like that idea of perception that, you know, when you lay your head at night that I didn't really want to do that, or I'm not really sure if that really makes me happy, but you do it because you think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Life is too short for that, I think.
Absolutely.
It's not fulfilling. It's not, because it goes back to the point of the stillness and the busy. You're filling your time and your energy and your space and your brain everything with things that don't actually matter and things that don't fulfill you.
Yes.
And what's the point in that, you know?
Absolutely.
Because you're just going to be drained. You're not going to be your best version of yourself. You're not going to be able to focus on the things that do nourish you and do fulfill you. So no, I haven't mastered in any way stillness or the calm. I'm still very 100 miles an hour, 100% of the time. But I think I challenge myself a lot more now. When I do things, I ask myself, do you need to do this? Or I feel, I think I also used to struggle a lot with letting people down or saying no, that if somebody says or invites you to something, or, you know, there's a commitment or an opportunity, you have to go. And like, it's okay to say to people, I'm really sorry, I'm busy, you know, I can't make it. And I'm the same on the other side, that, you know, whenever people say, oh, I can't do something, or I can't go. And I'm like, honestly, choose you. Rest, relax. If you don't have the capacity, even if you have the capacity, but you say no, guess what? No is okay.
It's okay.
Like,
It's
it's
okay.
okay. Like
Yeah.
there isn't a big thing behind it. I think a lot of the time people, we are naturally, of course, the main characters in our own stories,
Yes.
right? That's life. That's normal, you know. The things that, you know, for example, the time that you were in Sweden for you couldn't do your eyebrows, right? That was a big thing for you personally.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Right?
But I couldn't say that as a problem to have because
No,
girl,
but then also,
there are people who have worse problems than eyebrows.
I don't like that. I actually don't like that, you know. So recently I've been moving away from, because I used to do that a lot. Sorry, we're going off topic now, but like I used to do that a lot of, but my problems aren't as bad as other people, or oh, okay, this particular thing is upsetting me, but, you know, or it could be worse. Or, for example, when I talk to my friends a lot about dating or something, and they're like, oh, I haven't found some. Oh, no, but it's not, on the grand scale of things, everything else in life is great. No, like, it's okay to be upset about things. It's okay to be disappointed.
Yeah.
It's okay for things to frustrate you. And, like, I've learned this a lot as well, like, through kind of therapy this year as well. There's a difference between what you feel and then how you respond.
Yes.
You should control and moderate how you respond always.
Yes.
But it's okay to feel the things you feel. It's okay to feel rejected. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay for something to knock you. Just because something has knocked me, but you're not bothered by it, so what?
Yeah,
I'm not.
But
by
it's a big thing for you.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. You're, like you said, you are the main character of your story, and the problems you have is the main problem of your story.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone has the right to tell you that it's not a big or a small problem.
Exactly.
But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I also recently learned, and because I used to, if there were times that I used to feel down or depressed about something, I used to be like, I know what exactly is lacking in your life. Why are you getting upset about this? But then I've learned to think that it's okay to be upset, because if I don't get upset, I'm never going to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to push it aside, not actually dealing with it.
Exactly.
And it could be a worse problem later on.
Exactly.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I mean,
and I think it's more importantly about so one thing I've started doing as well is like following that disappointment or following that feeling. So one thing actually I've been discussing a lot in like kind of therapy and with my friends is the emotion of jealousy. And the difference between like jealousy and envy, right?
Comparing your life to somebody else.
Exactly. And I actually have a view where I think there are some circumstances where comparison is actually okay, where I think it's okay to see someone or something and to desire that thing. I think that the where people go wrong is where you see something and you think somebody else isn't worthy of it, or you actually
turn they have it?
Exactly, and you turn it into your focus is less on the thing and more the person.
Yes.
I actually think it's fine to, go on social media or to read something and look at something that someone has achieved, or even, just see anything and say, hey, I really want that,
Yes.
I really want that for myself.
Yes.
I want to get that promotion, or I want to be able to run the 10K in this time, or I want to have a healthy relationship. That's okay.
Yes.
That's okay to want that. I think what I'm learning now is you follow that feeling and then you think, okay, so what are the things that I, within reason, can put in place to be able to achieve that? Or is it, this is just something that, because I think also some things are just about knowing more about yourself.
Yes.
Because like, again, using the example about, I desire a relationship, there's not much you can really do with that if the situation isn't unfolding. But you can say, okay, I know that I have that desire, and like, that's something I know about myself. And like,
absolutely,
you know more about yourself, and that will always empower you. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting when people are like, oh, it's not good to compare, or jealousy is I think it's actually fine to really want something, to say, do you know what, I'm gonna work for that thing,
Yes.
I can see. So for example, I am so inspired by my best friend. She does so many things, and I'll sit there and I'll think, is she a human being? Like, how has she done all of these things? And I'll sit and think, okay, well, if she's able to do these things and you're intrigued and you want to do it, actually, the whole reason that I'm doing the ultramarathon is for her. And it's because of her, I should say, because she literally messaged me and said, hey, I'm doing this ultramarathon with the Run Club. I'm doing 100 kilometers. And I remember my first reaction was, no, that's a you thing. I could never do that. Like, I like running, but I'm not that, like, I'm not that serious. And then I sat and really thought about it, and I thought, hang on, she is amazing and she is exceptional, but why can't you do that thing?
Yeah.
You know, I am always somebody who supports her, and I'm so proud and passionate about everything she
does,
has achieved and
yeah.
she does. But why can't you? Why not me? Literally,
Yes,
why
exactly.
why not me?
Yeah.
Why have you just dismissed this idea that you also can't do hard
do it,
things?
yes.
Exactly. Especially if you have somebody by your side who says, let's do hard things together, you know? So that's one where technically I was comparing, you would say. I was, you know, she's doing this, I'm not. But I've now used that comparison as a positive vessel and actually lent on the fact that I've got that comparison is more of inspiration, if anything, than an idea of what somebody else has that I don't. And yeah, like I think that's all you can ever really do in life.
I completely agree with you. Like, especially with this day and age of Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to either. I've seen both the sides, obviously, where you have people commenting on things saying, "Oh my God, she's crazy. Why would she do this?" Blah blah blah. But also, that's negatively impacting you because you're sort of looking at that person as something that you want to have, but you just want to diminish that person's capability of doing that. But at the same time, there are times that I have looked at someone or they've looked at me saying, I want to do, for example, high rocks, I want to do it. And I literally tell them, like, you can do it. Like, honestly, maybe 2 months of prep. If you don't normally work out a lot, 2 months of prep, sign up when it releases next. Just sign up. At least you have a deadline to reach towards. So, I mean, and if you want any tips, let me know. I will help you out with whatever I know. So you want others to do it too, because you don't like... But that's what you want. When I see someone else do it, like, for example, when I see you running, I'm like, oh, I want to run like that. I would ask you what I would do to do that. I mean, that's what it should be.
100%.
Like, it's okay to want something that somebody else has have, but don't diminish
100%.
what they've done. Because you feel you cannot do it.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, because I think the flip side of that is because there's also this very much this idea of, you know, everyone should, because of, like, as you say, the TikTok, the Instagram, there's... People always say, you know, stay in your lane and don't look at what other people are doing. But it's like, well, how will you grow if you're not inspired by other people and you're not actually, you know, looking at what other people are doing and taking things in? How do you grow? I think that all of the challenging things I've ever done is because I've seen someone else do it. So I'm thinking that if they can do it, then again, why not me?
Exactly.
Why not me? You know, like it's.
I was supposed to ask you that question at last.
You know, I just So I love being inspired by people. I mean, another thing I'm struggling with. I don't yet see myself as an inspirational person. I think.
Are you kidding me?
Genuinely, I think I just do a lot of things, and like it's kind of what you said. Like, I'm always willing to help people. If people ask me, I'll give questions. But maybe actually, if I'm thinking about the people I'm inspired by, then there will be other people. On that basis, I guess there'll be other people that will be inspired by me. And it always challenges you, and it gives you a different perspective and a different idea of what you could be doing. And sometimes you may see someone, it's exactly what you said. I may imagine they create like a high rocks plus. I may see someone doing, I'm like, no, that's too far for me.
Like, I may do half of that, but good on you.
Exactly.
I'm happy for you.
Exactly. Like, I'm impressed, but maybe not inspired to do it. You know?
That.
Yes, exactly. Like, I will clap for you. I love that for you. You're doing amazing, sweetie, but not for me personally.
Exactly. No, absolutely.
That's fine
because
as well.
you know your capabilities. You know yourself.
Exactly.
I agree.
But I think that is so important. I mean, I don't even know how we got done to this segue or this question, but
but yes.
I think that's so important. Basically, like taking inspiration, not being afraid to kind of not being afraid to know maybe where you are lacking and the things that you haven't yet achieved, and using other people's stories to motivate you and inspire you to try and pursue that achievement. I think.
Very important. Okay, so I ask a lot of my guests this question, right? If there are women out there, probably in their pivot chapter, and they're unsure, they're quietly trying to figure out whether they should make it big, go loud. What would your advice be to her? So I'm actually somebody who
again, on the idea of perception and putting things out there, for a long time, I really struggled with this of, if you're doing these things or you're on the pursuit of achieving things, how much of it do you keep to yourself, and then how much of it do you share with other people? So I kind of took the route of just sharing things. Like it works for me in terms of, I think it keeps me accountable to myself, because you do have people who will see you that, oh, I haven't seen you, go on a run for a long time, or, or even just it sparks up conversation that keeps it kind of part of your daily and what you're doing. Or for example, I'll see you posting your movement or your runs. I'll be like, oh, you paced today. So I quite enjoy that. I quite enjoy the idea of, so everything about me and everything I do is always very community focused. Okay. So I think when I also post things, it's also for an element of like engaging with my friends who are doing the same things and keeping up and having that kind of community accountability. But that being said, I'm also very, very much about, I always say this, about like quiet comebacks, quiet resets, that actually there's a lot of things that we all do, even as part of us, people like us who are maybe posting that you're doing a high rocks or whatever, there's a lot of things that you're not posting as well.
The struggles.
Exactly, the struggles. And social media is not a platform. And I always say this to people, and this is one of my favorite things. Social media is not real, It's a series of things that you post on there. It's like, for example, you're not going to be posting every day on your LinkedIn the times that, sent a typo in your emails, or like, all of the bad things that have happened in your work day. But you're going to post when you had a promotion, you're going to post when you've done a new certification or a course. Yeah. That's social media. We're putting our best selves forward.
Yeah.
So I think you very much need to have an acknowledgement of what people are putting out online. I don't believe that it's necessarily fake, because it is real life. We are waking up at 5 o'clock. It's real life, but it's not the full picture.
Yes, it's not.
So I don't think there's any need, if you're somebody on the other end of the scale where, you're saying, I'm working towards this, whether that's, I've signed up for my first high rocks and I'm quietly, every, 5 days a week I'm going to my classes, but, I don't want to post about it. I don't want to discuss it. I think that's absolutely fine as well to do that. Yeah. I think the only thing is, you need to make sure you celebrate when you hit that milestone.
Yes.
Or at the very least, you need to make sure the people around you know that you're doing that, to be able to give you that support and that encouragement, whether that's quietly or otherwise. Because I think you do all of these hard things, and I think this is something that we potentially struggle with, is of shifting goalposts. And you achieve one milestone and then and then it moves and then it moves and then it moves. And I think if you're not actually internally checking in, and it's easier, I guess, if you've posted something and you've thought about it and you've taken the pictures, but even if you're not doing that, you need to take that time to quietly check in and, okay, I've done this, whether it's journaling or, so one thing I do is on the first day of every month, I do a video journal of I have a list of things. I'm like, what went well in the month, what didn't go well, what are my goals or things that I'm looking to achieve in the coming month. And I look back, and I looked back actually on the 2nd of January this year on my videos from last year, and I was like, whoa.
You did a lot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because it's even small things, because I think why I like doing it month by month is because you will even have small goals, like, this month I want to make sure I renew my lease. And you think it's so interesting to see in that moment of time what was so prevalent on your brain, that 11 months later you're like, oh, I even forgot about that. So I think, to people, if there's a question of, I want to do something, I don't know if I should do it quietly or loudly, I think you do what's most authentic to you, but make sure when you achieve it, you celebrate it. I think that's what I would say.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And I'm sure there are people who would love to listen to that.
Yeah.
So my last question to you.
Yes.
Something I ask everyone.
Yeah.
Why not me?
Yeah.
What would your answer be to that?
So I would say, why not me? Because I know that I believe in myself. I know that I believe in my capabilities. I know that when I set my mind on doing something, I will do everything I can to achieve that. I think why not me? Because in times where things have actually gone off course and gone off path, I've still found a way to make something from that, something that was really quite a pivotal point in terms of my health and everything about me and my well-being, I was able to kind of change that and make that into something else. So I just think if you have a belief system, you have community, you know what you want to achieve, why not you? You know, I think I've really learnt as I've, gotten older and actually had more experience that there are very few. I don't think even life is necessarily even about a series of talents. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with that. I don't necessarily look at people and think, oh, you are so much more talented than me or so much more intelligent than me. I think a lot of things are circumstance and hard work and discipline.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think if you have the right circumstances and you are able to work hard and you are super disciplined and you're focused, why not you? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. This conversation, seriously, it has made me realize how important it is to know that it's not just about the big moments. Yes, the big moments are important too, but it's also about the quiet moments.
Yeah.
It's about the quiet successes that you have, and it's about changing your path as many times as you want. And honestly, if Vanessa can do it, why not? She is honestly, I don't know why you think you're not inspiring. I mean, I wanted you to have a chat with me because I feel you're inspiring.
Thank you.
And I feel a lot of people who listen to this would be extremely inspired by you, by your story, the things that you are doing. And if anyone out there feels like they are proceeding towards or are in their pivot chapter, know that you're not alone. And thank you for listening to me and to Vanessa. And I hope to see you in my next episode of Why Me, Why Not Me.